What's up, y'all? It is a very wet Saturday morning, but we got things to do, so we're going to try to power through some of it. Rain's supposed to stop later today. See if we can get some of this stuff knocked out. We're going to start by doing some of the easy stuff that we can do in the rain. Hopefully the rain will fizzle off and give us a break later on. But here's what's on the agenda. This old crusty radiator has 3 pinholes here that when you fill it with water, it sprays everywhere, makes a mess. And it's just not good. So this truck's been sidelined and stuck on the property for like the last 8 months because finding a radiator for this has been ridiculous. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that in a second. But while it's raining, I'm going to yank the battery out of this and the S10. And since it's still raining, we'll go get those swapped out and get new ones here. And then hopefully this weather stops and we'll get on the radiator. We do have a brand new aluminum unit sitting right there. And I didn't even want aluminum, and that's part of why it took so long. So let me get these batteries out, and while we're driving to the parts store, I'll tell you that story. All right. All right, so got the batteries out, headed to the parts store. Here's the deal with the radiator on the Trail Duster. So before everyone comes at me and is like, well, it's just the same as a Ram Charger, just order a Ram Charger one. You're right. That's not the problem. This truck, when the original guy that bought it purchased it, he special ordered it with a bunch of extra stuff, which is what makes the truck cool. And why me and my buddy Michael Kelly will probably be the only 2 people that ever own this thing till the end of days. We've basically made a promise to each other that if one of us sells it, the other one's buying it. And it's gone that way a couple times. I've owned the truck now twice. He's owned it twice. The truck's not going anywhere. But one of the crazy add-ons or cool upgrades that the original owner bought with the truck is an option they had at the factory for heavy duty cooling. Now when you go order a radiator, whether you go to the parts store, you go online, or we've been through Summit, Jags, several parts houses, what they ask you is, does the truck have AC? The answer is no. This truck never had air conditioning. So you order a radiator, you get it, you go to put it in, and the radiator actually slides through the hole in the core support rather than bolting to it. It's too small. To the tune of about 4 inches in core width and 2 inches in core height. Like, it's completely wrong. So we went through several radiators. My hope was to keep it brass, keep the originality of the car. The intention was never to go crazy hot rod with it, although we're slowly changing our minds on that. We've just been failing to find the right radiator. So back in, right at the end of December, I posted a video on here where I was cruising through a junkyard that we have down here in South Alabama that's kind of by appointment only. A lot of cars you don't normally see. Rumor had it that guy had a couple parts I might have been looking for. We weren't able to make a deal on some of the stuff. He's just a little higher than what I want to pay at this time. But that's neither here nor there. We got to talking, and he had several later model Dodge pickup trucks, some 3/4 ton. And I was just thinking about it, asking, you know, if we could go measure them. And he said, well, I'll test the radiators to see if they're any good first. He tested them, none of them were good, but he had an epiphany. The guy he's about 20 years my senior, which means he would have been driving and playing with cars around the time that this Plymouth was built. And he said, well, does that thing have AC? I said, no. He said, it never had AC. I said, nope, never once. It's always been a non-air conditioned truck. And he just vaguely remembered something about the truck, or that era truck. if you ordered those trucks with heavy duty cooling for towing or whatever you might be doing, which the Forest Service ordered the trucks for heavy duty cooling, it came with the radiator out of an air conditioning truck. So the truck's been down because essentially we've just been ordering the wrong damn radiator. So went to the parts house last week, talked to them. They were able to find one. The first one that showed up looked like it had been dragged behind the FedEx truck for the last 100 miles, and so I refused it, and we finally got one that looks to be in good shape. It looks to be right. The downside is it's aluminum. Aluminum in itself is not a downside, but it's going to make me want to hot rod the truck a little bit, because now we've just thrown all the originality out the window. But it's all good. It will be back on the road this weekend, so long as this rain goes the hell away. I'm headed to the parts store now. I'm going to get those batteries, some coolant, and then we're going to be on a rain delay because it's just getting worse. So we'll pop back on here once this rain stops and we start actually working on the truck. Ouch. I'm not sponsored, but I'd be buying all kinds of stuff from there. It's $390 with a commercial account for 2 batteries and a jug of coolant. Admittedly, I did spend $4 on a umbrella valve for the carburetor on the 68, so $380 for 2 batteries and a jug of coolant. Ow! Alright, we're gonna go head back to the house and wait for this sideways rain to become up and down rain, ponder our life choices, and then get back out and do some wrenching. So we'll jump forward now to when it's more workable weather. This is not part of the plan. Stop it. Stop it. All right. Well, it's about 2.5 hours later, and well, the birds are out and it's finally done raining. So we're gonna first thing I'm gonna do is throw the new battery in, pull off the expansion tank, and we're gonna go ahead and start pulling hoses and get this radiator out of here, and then we're gonna make sure that the tranny lines will screw into the new radiator. But here's the new shiny unit. Not really what we were after, but it's here anyway. See how much that sucker leaks? And that's why we're replacing it. The radiator search actually started a long time ago. When the original hoses were on this thing, my buddy, Mr. Michael Kelly, was trying to get the hoses off when the truck was his. You know, with modern radiators, you can stick a pick in there and loosen up the hose and pull it out. Well, with brass, what ends up happening is you make the round hose fitting not round anymore, and you cause a leak. So he actually bought the first radiator because he did this, and it didn't leak. Credit where credit's due. This thing didn't leak, not a drip from here. But that's when the trouble with finding a radiator began. I think that was like, good Lord, it's got to be close to 4 years now. And again, I've done the same thing with brass radiators. It's easy to do, and at the price of a brass radiator, you just try to find a way to make it stop leaking. The brass ones are about, depending on where you can get it, if you can get the right one, anywhere between $500 and $600 now. And even the one that I got that was aluminum. If you look it up online, it's shown in brass and looks like brass, and you think you're getting brass, and then aluminum shows up. So, and even that one was 330 bucks. So the whole situation just kind of sucks. But I'm gonna finish pulling this shroud off next. So we're gonna pop the shroud bolts out. Then we've got 4 mounting screws, lower radiator hose, and 2 tranny lines. So we can get this thing out. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick. All right, we've got the shroud off, overflow tank off. We can push the shroud back. Lower radiator hose is off. All we got left is the 2 trans lines, and to dismount the radiator, she should slide out, and we'll start prepping the new one. One radiator. All right, so besides the leaks, this one looks better than the other ones we've been getting. The size is right. All the hoses are in the right places. The damn drain is in the right place. We might be doing something good now. All right, so the only thing I see is that the overflow line for the expansion tank is in the wrong place, and our expansion tank might not fit. So if that's the case, I'll just get a new bottle and hang it off this side of the radiator and be done. But for right now, what I got to do is I got to transfer these fittings into those holes and make sure that drain petcock seals, and then we can start putting it in. All right, so we've got it set in there. Let it be known, even if you buy one of these, it's not going to be right, but it's so close that we can deal with it. So instead of using the bolt holes that the factory uses for the fan shroud, it has these studs, which are in the wrong place. So we'll cross that bridge. I can get around that. The second thing to worry about is the top 2 bolt holes for the radiator mounting will work. And I think it puts it in about the right place. But there's nothing down below that it will attach to. On this side, there's a hole in the core support that lines up, but it's not threaded, so I'll just nut and bolt that. On the passenger side, I'm probably gonna have to drill a hole for the 4th mounting bolt. And to get this shroud to work, I'm gonna have to drill a couple holes in this flange on the radiator and run through bolts. But other than that, this is the closest to a direct fit that we have found for this truck. That it's still insane to me that it's that difficult. But there's one thing I want to check before we run to the parts store and grab some stuff. Okay, so our overflow tank will work. I just turned this cap around so I can run this hose this way instead of that way. It'll still bolt to the factory location, and it'll still sit on top like factory. So that's gonna work. We're gonna put all our little flappy flaps back in place for directing air through the radiator. So all I've got to do is come up with a way to attach the fan shroud, hook the lines up, put fluid in it, put a hot battery in it, and by God, we're back on the road with this thing, finally. So I'm gonna run back over to O'Reilly's. I gotta get some random hardware and some stuff like that to finalize the install on this. But with that and a hot battery, I think this thing will be on the road again. It's been down for 10 months. This is the absolute closest that a radiator has ever matched on this thing. So we're gonna run it. Still got lower hose, trans lines, and to come up with a way to hold that shroud. Once we do that, we're good to go. So I'm gonna go get that stuff and hopefully get this thing running and driving, and we can go on a test drive for the first time in about 10 months. All right, way bigger aluminum radiator installed, all the hoses hooked up, expansion tank on, fan shroud attached, hot battery in. We've got to prime the fuel system because it's been sitting. Make sure it's got oil in it, fire it up, check the trans fluid, and then see if she remembers how to move. Also, I'm gonna put it in full adventure mode here in a second. Oh, that's a beautiful thing. No spraying water. All right, well, she's back, I guess. And in adventure mode. Guess who's back? All right, well, she's back. That is gonna do it for this video. We got the old trail duster back up and running. Needs a few tweaks. I'm gonna dial in the carburetor a little bit. And then tomorrow, I'm actually going to try to get this S10 dialed and get back on that 68. But yeah, weather aside, she's got no leaks, no issues. And she's back alive. No smoke. Happy Tommy.